Well, it gets back to people need to start valuing information, valuing being informed. And Joe, that's why it's important that the few intelligent celebrities like yourself that are actually involved and want to talk about this stuff and are concerned. We need to see more of our leaders who aren't just in government but are in other facets of society stepping up and telling folks that this is important because you're leaders. You're a leader. And so it takes leadership. We need more real leadership that won't be bought and paid for by the military-industrial complex that's basically buying up our society.
And protect people from their own self. And the only reason why most of these drugs are illegal anyway is because we can't control them. Marijuana is illegal now because they can't tax it. I mean, because they can't stop you from growing it. It's illegal now because you can't patent it.
George Washington grew it.
Well, we all know the whole deal behind it. The reason why it was made illegal in the first place is because they came up with a method of producing pulp from hemp that was much more efficient. The way they used to do it, back when hemp was a viable crop and it was used by farmers all across the country, when they made paper out of it, when they made clothing out of it, it was all collected by slaves. And it was all processed by slaves. But that's not very cost effective once slavery became illegal, so hemp died off and cotton took hold. Now in the 1930s, in the cover of Popular Science magazine, they had an article that said hemp, the new billion-dollar crop. And they were talking about how this new, I think it was called a decorticator, I forget what it's called, but it was a new machine that they had invented that made it much more efficient to process the pulp. And they were going to make superior paper products, superior cloth.
It was
also when DuPont came up with the chemical composition for nylon. Absolutely. Now, what they did was, William Randolph Hearst, not only did he own newspapers, he also owned paper plants where he made paper. And if hemp is a superior paper and everyone's using hemp, he would have had to transfer over all of his lumber yards and all of his paper plants to processing hemp. That would have cost millions of dollars. So what did they do? Instead, they went after the other thing that hemp does. It actually intoxicates you.
And they financed.
And they did it on fear. They did it based on fear. They said Mexicans and blacks are smoking marijuana. They called it the slang term. They didn't call it cannabis. They didn't call it hemp. They didn't call it things that people would be familiar with. They called it the slang that Mexicans use. There's a drug called marijuana, and these people are smoking it, and they want to rape white women. And they started passing laws. The first
they
one
made
passed
films
in Texas.
where you
sure.
smoke, you turn
I've got all of them. I've got Reefer Madness. I've got Marijuana Girl. I've got a bunch of them, and they're fantastic. They're brilliantly stupid, but that's how it became illegal. The people who made it illegal, they didn't even know they were making marijuana illegal.
Now, Joe, you made a point though that was really good about how if it doesn't hurt somebody and it's your body, but as soon as they try to hurt you, then it is your business. But here's the deal. Making the drugs illegal drives up the price of the black market. It makes it a violent industry. So actually, by making it illegal, 9 out of 10 home invasions are some drug addict. So right there, making it illegal is causing most of our crime. It is hurting us.
Absolutely. You can't argue that. And the people who argue it, they say, this is what they say, well, you know what, alcohol may be worse, but we don't need more drugs. This society needs less drugs. Okay, well, let's make alcohol illegal too then, fucker. We tried that already, and it didn't work. You know why? Because too many Republicans and too many fucking congressmen like alcohol. It's a good drink for someone who's trying to control society because it's a drink that pumps up your ego. It's a drink that gives you a distorted perception of reality, and it's not a drink that offers any insight whatsoever. It's not a drug that gives you any enlightenment. It's not a drug that helps you in any way, shape, or form. It's a drug that gives you a pumped up ego and a very narrow view of the world. Whereas other drugs, you gonna eat my food, dude? You gonna dig into my food, motherfucker? I see what you're doing. No, that's all my shit.
That's all yours?
It's all my sashimi. What did you order?
Mackerel.
Yeah, but he's making awesome points. Why don't you stop it, let us eat, and we'll turn it on.
That's not mackerel, motherfucker. That's yellowtail.
Yeah, but why don't you stop it and turn it back on at the end? Then we'll get 2 more questions.
Spazzing out. He's dropping his chopsticks. He's ready to eat my food when I wasn't paying attention.
I know, he's really bad. I've been trying to
find out what it is. I ordered toro sashimi. I ordered tuna sashimi, yellowtail sashimi. That does not look like mackerel. I don't know what the hell that is. But look, the bottom line is, no, you're an adult, okay? You're an adult. I'm an adult. Who am I to tell you what you can't do with your life? Now, if you drive around fucked up on heroin, that's another thing. Or you drive around fucked up on heroin and you crash in a car, you should have your driving privileges revoked. You should be penalized.
Well, Joe,
I absolutely agree with
Joe,
that.
that sounds like a libertarian view.
It is a libertarian view.
The neutral aggression,
basically libertarian.
Back truce. Just don't hurt me and I won't hurt you.
Of course, that's
and the
what it
law
should
can't get
be.
involved unless you're actively hurting
That's what
somebody.
society is, man. Society is a bunch of people living together in cooperation. And the only thing we should stop is things that hurt other people for no reason. We're supposed to protect each other, right? Look, it's an alpha male dominated world, but we don't want the biggest, strongest people to run the world. So what do? We protect ourselves from being bullied. We protect ourselves
That's what
from
the
people
Republic
doing,
is.
Exactly. We protect ourselves from people doing bad things to other people. And that's the only laws that should be applicable. Those are the only laws that should exist in the book. That's it. It's the laws to protect people from hurting you. That's it. Someone sitting at home smoking a joint isn't hurting anybody.
And at the same time, parents will throw their kid in jail and call the cops on them for a joint of marijuana, but then they'll tell them take your Ritalin and Prozac, which is 1,000 times more toxic.
Well, you know what, man? People are stupid and they're ignorant, and our society doesn't help it. It's a material-based society. People want to get material goods. They want to get material items. They want to get shiny objects and a brand new Lexus and a bigger house than their neighbor, and that's what they work for. And when you're working, you're not thinking about life. You're not being objective. You're not being introspective. You're not breaking down the world while you're stuck in a fucking cubicle. All you're doing is working. You're a little slave for objects. You get home and you're tired, and your fucking kids are yapping, and little Johnny's been smoking a joint. God damn it, Johnny, what are you doing? Meanwhile, that joint might help that little motherfucker to stop becoming you. That one joint might make him look at his parents and go, oh my God, my parents are living in a fucking trap. They're trapped in a cage. They're living in the Matrix. Like, they don't even realize what they're doing. One day they're gonna die. And they're gonna be old and used up, and they'll have gotten nothing out of life. What, family trips and a fucking softball game every month? What is their life? It's nothing.
Joe,
it's non-existent.
Those are amazing points. I know you need to eat.
He's being a radio host. Alex is two totally different guys. There's the Alex that's my friend, who's a very interesting guy. And then the Alex that turns it on like black helicopters will come and take your babies. And
there's Joe, the one guy, cool guy. But Joe,
I try to be the same me all the time, but I do lie a little bit when I'm on Fear
I'm not
Factor.
Mike, so I'm talking a bit louder. That's what's happening here. But
When I'm on Fear Factor, I actually do pretend to be a different person. Otherwise, I would run away screaming.
I tell you, Joe, I know you've studied this because I've seen you talk about it some on your website. We talked about it some personally. I mean, the government acts like they want to get the drugs off the streets and want to keep us safe. But let's be honest, it's a big business. It's their excuse to build all the prisons, to have SWAT teams busting down doors. They've caught the CIA from Florida to Texas to LA, shipping drugs in. So the question is, talk about the business of drugs, what you think about that, and the prisons and how that ties into the CIA bringing in the crisis.
Well, you know what, man? Whenever there's money, the government's going to be there to make some of it. Look, if people are going to have drugs and the illegal drugs are going to be sold, the government, if they can't stop it, they will certainly participate in it. Now, I don't know if they ever tried to stop it, really. I think that what they've tried to stop is probably they've tried to stop the illegal drug sales that they're not profiting from.
Oh, that's it.
That's
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if you look at the whole Mena, Arkansas situation, that whole story with
Yes.
what was that guy's name? The guy who was the pilot.
Gary Reed? Terry Reed.
No, the other guy.
Barry Seal.
Barry Seal. Yeah, the guy that was murdered. He was the guy who was running drugs in Mena, Arkansas for the CIA, and it's all well publicized and very well documented, and it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, why would they let it happen? Why would they let drug sales go on and on and on and not profit in it? The government needs money. They need money to sponsor black ops operations, like, the whole thing with the Contras in Nicaragua. And
yeah, that was sort of fun.
They've done it everywhere. And, they don't, like, people are going to be stupid, and people are going to, if they don't have a problem having young, innocent kids go overseas and get fucking shot in the head for oil and dress it up as Operation Iraqi Freedom, if they don't have a problem with that, why would they have a problem with selling coke? Why? Of course they don't. They don't.
But see,
They
Joe,
don't.
you know that. I know that. Most Americans I talk to understand that. The
Because
majority
most
I
people
talk
just
to.
watch TV. Most people get home and they watch the news, and they think that's the news.
So what's the answer? Decriminalize now.
Fuck yeah, decriminalize now. But not only that, look, the problem is the system is so fucked up. We're born into a system that we have no control over, and even the people that are in the system, deep in control, they're still a fucking mess. Look, the people at the highest levels of government are still slaves to government. I mean, it's really
so it's a
sad
bureaucracy. It's a
situation.
machine, and
Of course, it's completely out of control. It's such a huge monster right now. It's so completely out of control. There's no how are you going to control it? What are you going to do about it? How are you ever going to change it? It's so fucked up. Just the electoral college. How about that? How about that? It just makes you feel so helpless about voting. You know, just the way they process one man, one vote doesn't even exist. Look, our whole system is fucked. The whole idea that the Commission for Presidential Debates is a privately funded institution, so that means the people that are debating on television, that are running for president, that debate is being funded by the very people who will benefit from only certain people being in office.
Well, Ralph Nader was on the list to speak, and they just decided last minute.
They changed it to 15%, where it was 5% before, but then Ross Perot got it. It used to be 5% of the popular vote in the polls. And then you got to think, who the fuck votes in the polls? You have to be an idiot to vote in the polls anyway. You have to be so deep into the whole
I've never
maze.
been called for a poll.
Oh,
Have you?
no. I don't even know if they exist.
But we should
I've never
set
met anybody.
candidates.
Yeah, well, there was 13 people running for president in the last elections. 2 of them debated. The reason why Nader wasn't allowed to debate is because of the Ross Perot situation. It used to be 5%. You needed 5% of the popular vote in the poll in order to make it into the presidential
So they don't want
debate.
competition.
They jacked it up to 15% because Ross Perot fucked it up for everybody. Ross Perot got in there and he started making all these crazy claims and talking all this, new reformist,
And they had the
thinking.
charts. You have the charts.
Exactly. And just that alone, just the fact that you're allowed to contribute money, gigantic sums of money, huge corporations that would benefit from these people being in office. It's obvious that it's bought and paid for. It's so obvious. I mean, it's so sick. The whole situation is so...
So where's it go in the next 5 years?
It's not going to get any better. I'm praying for a meteor. I think we need a meteor that wipes out about 60% of the people on the planet. You know, that's like the only way we're going to survive. I don't know, man. You know, it's just, I think just enjoy yourself and try to have fun. I don't know how much we're going to change. There's just way too much control on our society, way too much control on our money. I mean, you're trying to, you're the one who's always chiming about this, the whole thing with the euro dollar
Yeah,
and
it's hurting us.
world banks. I mean, it's all insane. I mean, our whole culture is a mess. The only thing that would cure our culture is a mass global enlightenment. I mean, how's that going to happen? I mean, everyone has to do DMT and mushrooms every day for a month, and we have to, evenly distribute wealth, and you have to educate all the fucking poor communities. You have to stop dumb people from having children. That's never gonna stop. You're gonna have to figure out a way to raise the children of ignorant people and give them some sort of a hope for life. You know, that's not gonna happen. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to take insecure guys and break them free of all their control issues, so they don't become conservatives and Republicans. Well, that's not gonna happen.
Well,
you know
the
how hard it
Democrats are
is. But you know how
controlled, too.
hard it is. Of course, but you know how hard. But they're not social controlists. They're trying to control things in a different way. I mean, do you know how hard it is to change someone's life? It's virtually impossible. So you would have to kill every conservative or enlighten them. The possibility of enlightening them is so slim.
But
You'd have
Joe,
to
this
kill
whole
them.
left-right thing, I mean,
There is no left-right.
Exactly.
But I'm talking
There
about
you go.
controlling people's behavior. I'm not talking about conservative in
Fiscal.
a common sense of the word. I'm talking about it in a sense of
Yeah, well, all the
someone
terms
who's
are
worried about
multi-changing.
other people. All these gays trying to have marriages, and someone saying, how is that Hillary Clinton? How the hell is she? All that kind of crazy shit. People worrying about gays, people worrying about specific ethnic groups, people treating people as anything other than individuals. If you don't stop
What do you think about the whole Arnold election?
Why not?
I mean, it's happening today.
I'm down for him. He's a guy who lifts weights, he did drugs, and he likes to fuck chicks. Put him in.
All
That's what I
right.
say. I mean, why not anybody else? Why him over anybody else? Why anybody else over him? It's all the same. They're all completely full of shit. I mean, is one of those mackerel?
This one's Japanese.
Oh, there you go. He was trying to dig into my food. I told him to go fuck himself. Don't put any of his food with me. Guy gets weird with food. He does yoga with a strap. The problem isn't something that can be fixed. The problem has so much to do with our diets. It has so much to do with the way we take care of our bodies. It has so much to do with what we put into our minds. It has so much to do with education and the hundreds of years of education and lies that have been perpetrated on the people in our culture from the beginning of our culture, from the beginning of the birth of this country has been completely full of shit. I mean, our country was founded by a bunch of people who were fucking religious fanatics that wanted to own slaves, but they wanted to be free. You know, I mean, that Puritan ethic still fucks us up to this
Joe,
day.
I got to tell you this. You've said a lot of things I agree with, but at the same time, I think you're oversimplifying. A lot of the founding fathers, I mean...
Fuck the founding fathers. They were idiots, too.
Hold on, but I know, well, nobody's perfect, but you can point back. You can point back.
I'm just saying, what we're talking about is, how do you fix it?
I mean, certainly...
But don't point back. Let's say, how do you fix it? How do you fix it? You can't. You can't. It's too fucked up. Dude, it's too fucked up. The best you can do is enlighten people on how fucked up it is.
All I was trying to do is analyze something you said there and to get your response from it. It was slavery still going on all over the world. Most of the founding fathers were against slavery and then released
Well, I don't know
slaves.
that. I didn't meet the founding fathers. I don't think you did either.
And
it's very
what about
little
Thomas
documented. There's no
Jefferson?
video.
He talked about liberty and
History's
freedom.
filled with lies. Who knows? George Bush talks about liberty and freedom. He's totally full of shit.
We're fighting
Come on, man.
the axis
Seriously.
of evil.
Yeah, axis of evil.
Let me tell you something.
Dude, you cannot trust anything history says. You can't trust anything.
Well,
We have a very loose form.
I know we're fighting
of what happened.
evildoers, Joe.
Fuck, dude. The axis of evildoers. You know, I mean, come on, man. Until recently, we taught kids that Columbus discovered America. I mean, it's not new information
When it was
that
Lee
Columbus
Harrison.
didn't discover America. Well, who knows who discovered America, really?
I mean,
who
obviously-
knows who discovered it even before Leif Erikson?
Well, obviously,
Leif Erikson was probably
Aboriginal,
a fucking
Indians
hack
from the
too.
North
He's
Pole.
probably the Dennis Leary of explorers. It was probably some other dude that discovered it, and Leif took credit for it. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, who knows? Who knows what anybody discovered in history? History is so ripe with lies and written by the winners.
What are those?
That's squid. I eat a lot of weird shit.
No, it's good. Good for you.
Have a shrimp, Alex.
What I'm trying to say is people need to get outside of the box, and you can't look at it as like, well, you need to get out there and vote, and you need to, okay, yeah, you should vote, yeah, you should do all these things, but you really need to understand that this system is so fucked. It's so gone on the deepest levels.
Did you vote today?
No. I don't care. I mean, when I say about voting for president, is that voting in America is like rooting on pro wrestling. It might make you feel better, but I don't really think it changes the outcome.
Well, that's a good point. I think I've used that pro wrestling line before. That it's people go, well, look, they're fighting, but it really is like a wrestling match. So we should talk about who owns the venue and who turns the lights on.
Yeah, you know what? There's so many things to talk about, but at the end of the day, you know, I saw this Noam Chomsky speech once on corporations, and what he was talking about how corporations may be evil, but the people in the corporations don't believe they're evil because they're not evil.
They're compartmentalized.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where I think the government is.
Well, this
I
is
think
all I was saying about the founding fathers.
That's what religion
is that they were. I mean, to some of our standards, they were bad, but they were light years ahead.
Who knows? Who knows?
They were light
man?
years ahead of. I've read their writings. They were
Maybe.
light years ahead of a lot of people behind them. That's what I'm saying. They were bringing
Okay,
in
they
something.
weren't light years ahead of Buddhists. They weren't light years ahead of Tibetan monks. They weren't light
But they
years
got
ahead of a lot of
slavery.
people.
But they got slavery all over those countries, controlled by the Buddhists and controlled by the. I mean, look at the
Tibet?
fruit. Yeah, there's slavery all over the place.
And it's controlled by the Buddhist monks.
No, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying in that society.
I've got the documents to prove it. If you go to my website, Infowars.com, I'll show you. The Buddhist monks controlled slavery and prostitution
What?
and heroin use.
Actually, the Buddhist monks did help Hitler. That's true. They had Tibetan monks. They're chanting for him, trying to defeat him. No, that's actually typed. I mean, that's even on like.
Wait, I thought you said they tried to help him.
They're trying to help Hitler. Yeah.
Well, they were
Well,
trying to
they
defeat him.
You support Tibetan monks. You support Hitler.
Okay.
No, I'm serious, Joe. Because Hitler was into Eastern mysticism,
Good.
and he paid to have a bunch of Tibetan monks come there, and they found a bunch of them dead in the bunker with him.
What?
Yeah.
They found a bunch of Tibetan monks dead in the bunker with
Yeah, well, in the
Hitler.
bunker next door, yeah.
I thought they didn't even find Hitler dead in the bunker.
They found him outside with gasoline on him, burnt. But yeah, the bunker complex, right there at the right
Sorry, it's a
time.
little shaky. A little shaky, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm gonna have to turn the
This is
A
the-
game on in a minute.
This is the Alex Jones problem.
I'm about to turn the A game
Alex
on.
Jones is a very smart man with a lot of information at his disposal. However,
sometimes he doesn't have the answer, so he will just make some shit up.
Joe, I told you 24 months ago about 9/11.
24 months? What did you tell me?
I told you about 9/11, the government behind it.
Well, 24 months ago, 9/11 happened. I think everybody knew about it.
I told you that night. No, I told you that night that the Bush was behind it.
Okay.
And
so
now,
that still hasn't been proven.
Yes, it has.
Well, has it been proven that Bush is behind 9/11?
Michael Meacher, the big British minister over energy and environment, came out and laid out all the evidence. Because Bush wrote white paper documents called PNAC. Right. And they called for these type of attacks, and we have Northwoods and other plans that come together. Then we have the CIA running a drill that morning and flying hijacked jets into New York and D.C. buildings, claiming it was a drill for the CIA. That's how they ordered NORAD to stand down for. Go ahead.
There's a letter to Bush today in the Guardian by Michael Moore.
What does it say?
Asking questions that he would like to ask. Michael Moore would like to ask George Bush, and why other people aren't asking these questions.
Seriously, Joe, I'm not.
But a lot of it was on the ties to Bin Laden's family, how it's never addressed, and also how the Bin Laden family was allowed to leave the United States when there was no fly zone over the entire country. It's pretty crazy shit.
Look at this luscious caterpillar.
You know what? The bottom line is, it sounds like a cop-out to say that it's too fucked up and there's nothing you can do about it, but I don't want to waste my life trying to fix some shit that I can't fix. What I do want, I want people to be aware that you can't fix it. I want the people to be aware how crazy life really is. This is what I tell people all the time. If you ever think you've got a grip on life, if you ever think you know what the fuck is up, I want you to go outside and I want you to look straight up. And you realize there's 100 billion stars in this galaxy. This is one of hundreds of billions of galaxies in the known universe. All structure is an illusion. All society is an illusion. It's all we are talking monkeys on a rock spinning around in space, and that's it. That's
on
it.
A standard planet orbiting a standard sun, 2/3 of the way out on the spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, but bottom line is we're organisms. That's it. This whole concept of what's real and what's not real and what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, it's completely artificial.
Joe, let me just say this.
No one has any idea what the fuck this is all about.
We wouldn't have the liberty and freedom we have now, though, if people wouldn't have fought against thugs and against tyrants. So to say give up, I mean, we still have,
give up.
I mean, black folks will still be pulling the plows. I'm not saying you said that. But you're saying, it's screw it, it's only going to get worse, you can't stop it.
No, I'm talking about voting. I'm talking about...
But I think speaking out, putting your ideas out, we don't put your ideas.
I do put my ideas out.
Exactly.
We didn't get a chance to vote for whether or not we wanted to go to war. If we voted, if the United States had a chance to vote, that's what it's supposed to be about, man.
I agree.
People to vote. Can I get another Diet Coke?
So there's been a miscarriage of justice.
I'm going to support this big major corporation that fucking goes overseas.
With aspartame and a deadly poison.
Deadly poison if you're a fucking pussy. I could eat aspartame for lunch, dude. Check that shit out. Aspartame's gonna kill me.
Show them right there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's aspartame training. It was revealed today that Joe Rogan had been taking aspartame.
Secondhand smoke, man. I say if you get cancer from secondhand smoke, you're a fucking pussy.
Joe Rogan, destined to live to be 120. Become the next governor of California. Nah, liar. Joe, you witnessed something once with a cucumber.
No, I didn't. I made it up. I was drunk.
Nah,
I was drunk.
Gently, only tickle. See, I'm doing Dennis Leary. I wrote that, folks.
Well, I'm not saying you can't do anything. I mean, activism is great, and I'm just saying that the stranglehold is so deep.
But what you said about getting people to realize that stranglehold, that's half the battle right there.
Look, I think you're doing a great job. You've opened my eyes to a lot of shit. Just your 9/11 Road to Tyranny documentary, all this shit that you talked about with Oklahoma City. I wasn't aware of all that shit.
And that's 20 months ago. We made 2 new films. I got to send them to you. Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
Look, that Oklahoma City thing was a fucking god damn. I didn't know that. I've watched it a couple times, and I played it for a few friends, and they just freak out. They're like, "Is that true?" Just the building being blasted like that it would be impossible for a fucking fertilizer bomb in a truck to blow that building out. Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, it's like Joe.
Put that guy to sleep. They had to kill that guy so fast. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, Joe, I mean, it's simple psychology, or not psychology, mathematics. If you punch me right now real hard, I'm going to go back for the recoil. I'm not going to go like, as soon as you're,
Well, also where the crater was.
Yeah.
It was a small crater. Well, from what I understand, I read some shit online about fertilizer bombs and how difficult they
have
are
no
to
power.
make. And
They
have no
dissipate.
power.
and they usually blow up on the way wherever they're
And
going.
it's not even a big one. I mean, it's big enough to fit in a truck. There's no, and all the
compression.
footage of all those different news reporters saying that the FBI recovered 3 other bombs.
Yeah. The amount of compression it would take to make it blow a building out like that, there's no way you can do that.
You know what, man? Hitler burnt the Reichstag. Nero burnt Rome. I was watching a documentary the other day where these Japanese guys set something on fire and they were blaming it on the Chinese in the 1920s.
Really?
They wanted to go to war with China.
What was that event? I need that.
It was on the History Channel.
I didn't
It was
know
all-
that.
It was just on a few days ago about.
See,
The
Joe, you just
samurais.
taught me something.
Well, I wish I wrote it down. I was in my hotel room. And I was just like, people are just fucked. I just watched this. I'm like, we've always been like this. We love war.
Well, it's now admitted Gulf of Tonkin never even happened. LBJ, we've been fired on. Totally made up.
What is that?
In 1964, to get us into Vietnam, the fleet pulls up in its mast and they claim somebody shot at a boat, and it turned out it was a lie.
Well, how about fucking Pearl Harbor? We knew that was going to happen. They knew it was going to happen, and they pulled away decoders. They allowed it to happen.
They pulled out the decoders, unhooked a bunch of stuff, had the new ships sent out to sea, all the old ones tied in rows so they have a target.
And then, what was it, the Northwoods document? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it calls for U.S. government plan to carry out terror attacks.
And what was that? It was in 1962?
And Kennedy said no and got whacked a few months later.
They whacked that dude for a bunch of reasons, because he really thought he was the president.
Well, no, that's it. No, I mean he'd been a big hawk and everything. That's what's interesting about Kennedy is he was all for him. Big military. He actually cut taxes by half. He was like a real conservative on a lot of issues. Again, they scrambled all the terms, but he cut taxes by half. Beefed up the military. Yeah, these communists, let's kick their ass. And when they came to him with Northwoods, and I said it in my film, but it just came out even on Frontline. And when he came out and said, when they came to him and said, we want to kill U.S. troops, playing on enemies, we want to hijack jets, we want to blow stuff up in D.C., he said, that's it, I'm abolishing the CIA, we're pulling out of Vietnam, I'm cutting military funding, we're not going into Cuba anymore, and they just freaked. I mean, they were so radical, they came to him with that plan to kill U.S. citizens. He said, I won't do it.
How great it would it have been if Kennedy had a speech, give a State of the Union speech, and he just addressed all those issues. How great would it have been if he got on television and talked about what the CIA really does,
That's why they got him.
what it tries to do.
Great
What was
point,
that
Joe.
That McKinney said the other night.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks before he was killed, he was at American University and he gave a speech. He said, soon I'm going to be exposing the greatest evil ever. Our government's been taken over. It's a famous speech. You can find it online. And he said, this darkness is out of control. We're going to stop it. And he was going to give a State of the Union about it. He was going to talk about it in the campaign. But you're right. He should have done it, boom, right up front.
Well, that might have been the last hope. Maybe that was just romanticizing it then. Maybe he had no hope even then.
But
Maybe they would've
you're
killed
right.
him.
He thought he was president.
Maybe even after he gave that speech, they would have killed him and he would have said he was a liar. Who knows? They control the media. Big businesses control the media, and the media is so fucking powerful. The propaganda put on national television is so going to exceed some foreign website or some obscure paper from Sweden, or anybody who's breaking the stories.
Kevin, you were saying that you were mentioning something about Cynthia McCain, the congresswoman.
Well, she was talking about that. She was just saying, imagine a world if Kennedy wouldn't have gotten shot. She was talking about what you were talking about.
People romanticize that, the people romanticize when anybody,
But he did go against the power.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
Yeah, he did. No, he did want to abolish the Federal Reserve. He did want to abolish the CIA. I mean, that's all common knowledge.
And that all happened after Northwoods. They came to him and said, we want to do it. And he said, you people are nuts.
How fucking sick is that? And that's a document. Was it signed by who? Who signed it? The Joint Chiefs of Staff?
Chairman L.L. Lemonster, and they got green lighted up to McNamara, and it went right up to Kennedy. Kennedy was like, what? This came out on Frontline on PBS. He's like, what? I'm not doing this. All they said on Frontline was he was very upset about a Northwoods plan. They didn't even say what was in it on big national TV. And that he got very paranoid about coups and problems, and suddenly changed his view of being a hawk and was going to... I mean, he was a hawk. Kennedy was a hawk.
Yeah.
He was all for him. And they thought, we can come to him with what we really want to do. Well, they came to him with that. He was like, guys, we're not doing this. And then they got real mad at him, started threatening him. That's kind of in that 13 Days with Kevin Costner. That's pretty accurate, where the generals are all calling him a wimp and everything, and he gets in their face.
It's all so fucking crazy, and it's not going to change, man. These guys are completely unenlightened. The people that are running the world, they're not looking up at the sky and looking at the big picture, and they're just trying to control things. I mean, they're trying to control things and keep control of things, and it's not going to change. It's never going to change. You know, it is.
Well, I know we don't fight it; it'll get worse and worse. Though.
You think it's going to help? You think fighting is going to help?
I know it helps. I've seen it. I've beaten legislation in Texas. I've seen
it definitely helps on the local level.
Exactly. I've seen them back off old ladies. They're trying to take an old lady's house for no reason. I go up and fight them and bullhorn them and talk about them on the radio. They back off. I mean, I don't know. I like standing up to bullies, man. I don't like bullies.
I know you do. I just, I don't know, man.
I know this. It's not going to change if more of us don't get involved. And the problem is, you said it about education. People don't know history or facts. And the average person, Joe, watching that Discovery Channel thing where the Japanese blow up something to blame it on the Chinese, I didn't know about that. The average person watching that wouldn't even know what that meant. They wouldn't get the significance of that and see it in the context of the day.
Right, and certainly think, well, you know, this is an interesting point, because that's how I used to look at war. You know, I used to think, well, stuff that happened then, we know better now. When I was a little kid, I remember Vietnam ended, you know, in the 1970s, and I was, you know, a little kid. I remember thinking, well, I guess they'll never have war again, because everybody was so horrified about Vietnam. I'm like, that's it.
I thought that was the last war.
I thought that was it.
Yeah.
And then when I was, you know, living in Boston, and we went to war in Desert Storm, I was like, are you fucking shitting me? We're going to war again? Like, how crazy is this? We're going to war.
And on top of it, right out in full view, the U.S. ambassador, April Gillespie, tells Saddam to go ahead and invade. He was our ally. He invades, and then they turn on him.
Well, okay, this is when I was 21, and I didn't know shit. And I thought what was going on then was the last war. I was like, okay, well, we're just going to... And then you saw the technological weapons that we have, the technologically advanced missiles and
flying through windows,
smart wind bombs and all that shit. I was like, okay, well, this has definitely got to be it.
And veiled stealth bombs.
Yeah, but we're fucking things up so fast and easy. I'm like, we're just gonna stop people from invading other countries and that. But I was in my early 20s. Like I said, I was really naive. I didn't understand what the war was even all about. I just thought, okay, I can't believe we're gonna go overseas and fight these bad guys, but okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get rid of them, and then there's gonna be no more war. But now you can't even. There's no weapons of mass destruction. Like I say in my act, Iraq had like 4 jets and a donkey with a spear in the end of it. Like there's no weapons. It's real simple math. We sold them all the old weapons. We put Saddam Hussein in power. We sold them all the old weapons. Blew them up. Put an embargo on them for 12 years, and then all of a sudden,
killed like 500,000.
No, 500,000. April, the Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, said 700,000 kids were killed. It was a good price to pay.
And that's not even to mention all the people that died and all the child defects, the birth defects from depleted uranium shells.
And our troops are breathing that.
Yeah, I mean, how about the guys who are digging up depleted uranium? They're digging up tanks that have been blown up by depleted uranium to get parts, you know, to sell them. Yeah, but that's what it is. I mean, it's pretty simple. The Gulf War syndrome is exactly like radiation poisoning, because it is radiation poisoning.
They blew up a sarin gas bunker.
I'm sure there's other stuff, but I think
it's both.
These babies born with hands coming out of their fucking armpits, you know, that's radiation poisoning.
Hands coming out of their heads.
God, man, it's just, you know.
I think that's the uranium thing pretty much a secret until years after.
Dr. Ruker, in '91, they hired this big top scientist who was an Army scientist, and they made him a colonel, and they sent this Dr. Ruker over there, hired by them to say it was okay. And he said, that's it, I resign, this is deadly, this is horrible radiation poisoning. He went back independently this time, tested Australian, British US troops, and he tested the ground in Baghdad now. Because before they were shooting out in the desert, in downtown Baghdad, it's 1,900 times safe levels. And our troops are just breathing this, and no one cares. Nothing's been done.
They're actually like using that as a way to get rid of like toxic waste over here.
Yeah, that's what they do.
That's what they're doing. That's what depleted uranium is. It's nuclear waste because it goes through everything. It's the hardest substance known to man.
It's the heaviest thing around.
But when did they
RU-238 or whatever the hell it's called? You know, that stuff goes right through everything.
It's like twice the weight of lead.
RU-238, is that the abortion pill? I just make something up.
Yeah,
no, it's RU-486.
RU-486 is the abortion pill. What's depleted uranium?
It's something like that.
It's something 238. I'm just trying to sound smart.
I think it's, yeah. Uranium-238.
But what it is it's nuclear waste. You know, it cuts through everything.
It's the stuff from nuclear weapons production and from nuclear power plants. And so now, well, and also there's an escalation. They used, I think it was 300 tons in the first Gulf War. Then they used like 600 and something tons in Serbia. And now it's like 3,500 something tons that they use. So, the graph is just going straight up. And it turns into powder. See, when they shoot it at a tank, it'll shoot right through it, and then it aerosolizes on the other side.
They didn't even come out and talk about
By
that
the way,
8 years after the
its half-life is over 50,000 years. So it loses half its radiation at 50,000 years. And to go down to like no radiation,
Yeah. There was a documentary that went into in great detail. It's called The Hidden Wars of Desert Storm. HiddenWars.org, ladies and gentlemen. But the Hidden Wars.
Yeah, we linked to that on Infowars.com.
It's a fucking crazy documentary, man. It's all details the whole history of the United States involvement in Iraq, and then it goes into detail about, especially if you get the DVD.
Well, here's the scary thing.
They go into detail about depleted uranium.
The next war is the big one. Because the PNAC documents by Bush, the same ones that talk about how they want terror attacks, written in 2099, they call for invading Syria, Iran, North Korea, Libya, also going into Somalia, going into the African Gold Coast, and maybe even a fight with China. How's that sound?
And what's the purpose of all this?
A global domination. They call it a global empire. They said we need terror attacks for imperial mobilization. And now they've lined up a new national draft. Everyone 18 to 49, including women.
I gotta hurry up and turn 49. It's not addictive. It's completely non-toxic.
And George Washington
It's never hurt
smoked it.
anyone. Thank you. It's never killed anyone. You can grow it. It exists on the earth, and I think it's here for a reason. I think all these drugs are here for a reason. I mean, natural things. I think the reason why oranges taste so good, okay, it's because they're really good for you, and that's your treat for eating it. You get vitamins, and it tastes good, and in return, you eat it, you shit out the seeds, and you help it fertilize it. I mean, that's why fruit tastes good in the first place. What marijuana does, its gift is, it offers you an enhanced view of the world. It spreads your consciousness. It helps you absolve your ego. It helps you keep your ego in check and actually calm it and give you a more balanced and objective perspective on the world. It does. People think marijuana makes me stupid. It hasn't made me stupid. It made me smarter. It made me more aware. It made me a better comedian. In the 3 years since I started smoking pot, my material's gotten so much deeper and more richer and more in depth, and I enjoy it more. I enjoy life more. I've changed the way I look at things. I've gotten out of so many traps of confinement of these predetermined patterns of behavior that people find themselves in, and we do it just because everyone else is doing it. Well, me smoking pot made me realize that a lot of these things we're just connecting the dots because we're insecure and we're not looking at what's really healthy and what really feels good and what's really natural and what really helps you enjoy your life. We're just doing it because we think that's what we're supposed to do. And you live a trap, and weed makes you aware of that, man. Marijuana makes you very aware of everything around you. It makes you very aware. People call it being paranoid, but it's not paranoia. Life really does suck that bad for most people. And when you get high and you get paranoid, what's happening is all the bullshit is stripped away. The bullshit veneer that most people cover their lives in just so they can fucking get by, just so they can wake up when that goddamn alarm clock goes off. That shit strips away when you smoke pot. And you are all of a sudden alone with your thoughts and the reality of the world, the reality of the universe. And for most people, that's way too much to deal with. They would rather have alcohol. They would rather dull it down. That's one of the reasons why everyone's afraid of marijuana. And that's one of the reasons why marijuana can help everyone. Everyone should be forced to smoke pot. You should be forced. Not forced, obviously. You should be encouraged. You should be encouraged.
So
everyone should be encouraged. Everyone should listen to someone who's benefited from it.
First step, decriminalize marijuana so they can't pack the prisons.
Well, you know what? It's just so much propaganda has been about it. There's so much propaganda about marijuana. People don't understand what the real effects of it are. They think it makes you lazy. They think it makes you stupid. I'm not lazy. All right, I've never been lazy. I have 2 fucking television shows. I work constantly. I never stop doing stand-up. I do stand-up every fucking weekend, even when I'm working 2 shows in a row. Even when I work Fear Factor in the day, I do the Man Show at night. I still do stand-up.
And he's built like a pit bull.
I always work out. I do what I'm supposed to do, man. Because if I don't, then it bothers me. And a matter of fact, getting high helps me do what I want to do what I'm supposed to do. Because if I don't, then pot starts fucking with me.
You're a left-wing hippie boy.
I hope they put you in a forced labor camp.
You know what? That whole conservative thinking, all that stuff, it's just people are scared.
I
Man.
wouldn't call it conservative thinking.
Man, what conservative? Controlling. That whole, drugs are bad and this. That's all people are scared.
Unless it's Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong with drinking a
Nice
half
old
gallon
Scotch.
of Jack Daniels and driving your 18-wheeler. Well, Joe, you're looking good. You're more fired up than even before. I didn't know that was possible. he is just percolating and exuding energy. And
You know what, man? It's a fuck, dude. And the only way to decriminalize drugs is to make people aware of what drugs really are. Drugs are Tylenol, Prozac, Zoloft, alcohol,
I agree, Ritalin.
caffeine, Ritalin, everything. Drugs are constantly. When you take NyQuil because you have a cold, you're taking a drug. Drugs are everywhere. People say I don't do drugs.
so they've just
but
picked
I
a few
drink.
drugs to make them illegal, so they have a way to
Yeah.
get in our life and try to control
Yeah.
us and have somebody from prison do the work for them.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the best drugs are the ones that are illegal. Mushrooms are illegal. They never hurt anybody. Why are mushrooms illegal? Mushrooms are illegal because they ran tests on them. They had fucking people, infiltrate these, mushroom cults, in the 1950s, and people who were having all these religious experiences on mushrooms, and they had people from, whatever government branch went into it to infiltrate these, and they were undercover, and they took these mushrooms and had horrible trips. Well, of course you had a horrible trip, but you're a fucking evil cocksucker working for the government, trying to, find out what could happen to people when they take these drugs. Mushrooms, that's another thing that absolves you of your ego.
So really, they're horrible people, so they're going to have a horrible...
Well, they're deceiving people, and they're living a bad life, and, like, if you're working for the if you're fucking dumb enough to be working for the government at all, anybody dumb enough to take a job with the government shouldn't be allowed to work for the government. Anybody who's dumb enough to want to work for the FBI shouldn't be allowed to. Anyone dumb enough to work for the fucking Central Intelligence Agency. If that's you're fucked up enough that you want to control people and you really want to work for the Central Intelligence Agency, of course you shouldn't.
Well, that's true, Joe. We see the criminal mind, the control freak mind, gravitates towards those positions. In fact, take like police and people in those positions. They have a higher rate of criminality, a higher rate of being child molesters, a higher rate of being drug dealers, a higher rate of thieving people, of being sociopaths, and that is fact, folks. So the government tells you, let us run your life, let us be the bosses.
Well, who was the teacher's helper in high school? They were all douchebags. Who's the guy who ratted you out because you were smoking in the hallway? They were all douchebags.
He later goes to jail for ripping off old ladies with junk boxes.
And look, they're cool cops, dude. I know a lot of cool cops.
Yeah, I'm saying
why?
there's a higher
Because they
percentage
needed a
of
job. They needed a job, and they thought, hey, maybe it would be good to help people.
Yeah, all I'm
maybe
saying
I
is
could help people. I could fucking stop crime.
There's a higher percentage
lot
of bad people in there, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad people doing it. Look, there's a higher percentage of bad people that are actually criminals. And corporate criminals and regular
what I'm saying,
criminals,
yeah.
but there's a higher percentage, whatever. It's fucked. I'm trying to. It's fucked, dude. The situation's completely fucked. What are you gonna do?
Well, we're talking about it, and that's better than nothing.
Enlighten people, educate people, hope they get it. You know what's happening when people who are really, really wealthy, like these guys that are funding this. Kevin, you know about this. These guys that are funding this. Those really rich millionaire guys that the drug czar is always going after because they're trying to legalize marijuana. You know what I'm talking about? That whole group of people that the government's... You don't know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's wealthy folks that got
Those
together.
really, really rich guys. They're famous guys.
George Soros.
Yes, he's one of them. There's a few billionaires that are they're trying to have marijuana
They say it's
legalized.
destroying society.
They
talk about the police state.
They were behind that thing in Vegas when they were trying to legalize it in Vegas.
And so now they're like targeting them and going after them.
Yeah, big time.
As usual, Kevin doesn't know.
Yeah, how can you not know? You're making a drug war movie. Put that in the fucking film, pal.
We'll get me hooked up with this guy in Vegas.
Well, no, it's
not a guy in
George
Vegas.
Soros. He's in Europe.
There was
I can hook you up.
well, there's a bunch of people in America too.
He's kind of New World Order, though. But it's kind of like the other angle of it.
Yeah. No, I guarantee Scary Johnson guy did in Mexico.
Yeah,
Well, that's a great
absolutely.
interview you did. No.
It's all fucking crazy. It's all fucking crazy.
No, in fact, I've got him talking about the whole thing in Nevada.
You know what scares the shit out of me? When people my age think marijuana should be illegal. Well, you know what? You're just gonna make a bunch of fucking losers out there. You make it legal, then everyone's
No, you're going to bring the
do
price
it.
down, take the crime out of it, and the government won't have an excuse to put you in prison.
Not only that, think about the weed that you're getting now. These are all chemists that fucking flunked out of Berkeley. And the guys who are making weed now. Is that your thing?
Is that coming from this?
No.
Something's done cooking over there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, think about the chemists that are making weed now. You know, the botanists. Those guys really, they're probably dropouts and weirdos. And do you know how fucking great weed would be if you get the people who like fucking make Marlboro cigarettes addictive? If they could get a hold of weed and just really pump
They'd
it up
probably
and make
screw
it
it
super
up.
powerful. You think?
Add a bunch of chemicals to it.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, you said they don't want people having that consciousness expander. I would
Maybe
give-
once they got a hold of it, they would use it for good.
Yeah. Another thing the drug war has done too is it's actually made.
You're getting that, Joe?
I got it already.
Always a sweetheart.
TV money, baby.
Huh?
You always say that like after it's already done.
I flaunt that TV money.
Well, no, I saw him. There goes Kevin again.
That's the only reason I have TV money is to just spend it.
Cool.
Well, cool. That's how Kevin ends everything. Well, cool.
There he is. Maximum. Damn, Joe, you're really getting like his shoulders. He's going.
I'm just insecure. I want to pick up more chicks. Is your glasses, bro?
Oh yeah. You gotta always lose everything. Those are some cool shades.
They're black flies.
Where's the bathroom? I'll be right back. Sir, where's the bathroom?
Right around the corner, dude. Girl was flat. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
The sun was 17 miles away.
Actually, Jesus said it was round.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That was propaganda. That's propaganda.
So, Joe, how do we get rid of the drug war?
I don't know, man.
How do we stop it?
I'm just a comedian, dude.
No, but people want to hear your view on this.
Come on, I'm just a dirty comedian.
Look at what marijuana's done to him.
It's made me fat and lazy.
Now, see someone who smokes marijuana, very good
Almost
shape,
every day.
healthy. Look at me, I don't smoke it. I'm a fat blob.
You should smoke pot. It helps you lose weight.
Now, see, I'm a fat blob.
Because if you smoke pot and look at yourself in the mirror, you'd be like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing with my body?
And then look at Joe, Mr. He-Man. Shoulders about that wide.
You know what's weird though? The wider my shoulders get, the more my dick shrinks. Is that related?
That's not true.
Is that related?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on it.
You're not an expert on dick shrinkage?
No.
Yeah, man, my dick's really little right now, but it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's little, but it attacks.
Well, Joe, we're walking along down the
Hey,
street.
let's cross over here so I can get a cup of coffee.
Sure, I'd like one too. We're walking along on Sunset Strip.
Alex Jones is in performance mode, ladies and gentlemen. If you could just be yourself all the time, wouldn't that be better? Then every now and then you puff out your chest and become Alex Jones from the radio.
I am being myself.
Exposing the truth.
He's gonna kick my ass. Look, he's about to go. Bam.
I had a sprawl. I got nervous there. I had to get low.
Well, I was only gonna do so. He piled around my head on the concrete.
Come on,
Bloody
buddy.
suit.
You know I wouldn't do that to you.
That's just this guy. This guy's aggressive. I'm gonna get him.
Here we go.
Come on, Kevin. Come on, Kevin.
Kevin Booth, ladies and gentlemen.
Kevin Booth, one powerful
Fight
son
the
of a
power.
bitch.
Kevin's working the camera.
Yeah, he is. He's a major league troublemaker.
One of my favorite songs.
Going in here.
Nah, this place sucks. This is a 2-bit dumb pickup joint.
Is it?
Yeah. My soon-to-be ex-girlfriend just went there the other day with her dumb friends. We got hit on by all these guys. Gee, I wonder why. She goes with 5 hot chicks, their tits poking through their dresses. I wonder why people are hitting on us. It's so weird.
Yeah.
If I was a chick, I'd wear camo. I'd wear a fucking... I'd wear a big... no, I wouldn't. You know, if I was a chick, I'd be a slut. Who am I lying? Who am I lying?
Joe, is it always this hazy here?
Hasty?
Hazy.
Hazy? No, this is an unusual day here in Los Angeles. It's nice and warm, but it is a little hazy.
About to say hazy. Sure, when my coughing fits.
Kevin, you get anything out of this? This all good stuff?
Oh, Kevin's a genius.
Kevin, you gonna edit this?
Oh,
Put it in
yeah.
like fast forward?
Don't worry, he will. But, Joe, we need you up there on that building.
Nah, believe me, I'm overexposed as it is. I think I've had enough.
So how's the Man Show going?
It's fun, man. It's fun as hell.
You're about to shoot more episodes?
Well, not until probably around February or March. That's when I'm done with Fear Factor.
Now, that's a crazy schedule you're on when you're shooting those, isn't it?
Well, when I'm doing both at the same time, it's fucking insane. And that's how I did the last series. We did 22 episodes in 13 weeks while I was doing Fear Factor at the same time. And that's including hiring a writing staff, hiring an executive producer and a showrunner.
All the logistics.
Yeah. Oh, it was fucking insane. And it's, starting a new show. We had to, get the ball rolling, get it so that everyone's comfortable and everyone finds their place and, get the machine moving. It was a taxing experience, but it was fucking fun as hell.
Yeah, sounds good.
It was the most fun I've ever had working on a TV show. Plus, nice there, Stumbles. Cool, because let's go in Starbucks.
Everybody's mean to Kevin.
Plus, it was cool because it was.
Here we go,
we're gonna go to Starbucks get a coffee. It was cool because I finally got a chance to work with Doug. We'd always wanted to do something together. What's up? Can I get a grande coffee, please? What do you want, dude? No, I'm just a coffee.
Yeah, I was thinking like a regular coffee.
What size? Grande? Would you like a grande as well?
I'll say a small one.
You want anything? You fucking fruitcake. Can't you just have a cup of coffee?
I always get that at Starbucks. Get made fun of.
Just think about all the non-manly things you've done today with your yoga and your straps and.
Kevin Booth's actually the most sinister person I know.
He needs a steak and a glass of whiskey and a violent Chuck Norris movie.
Chuck Norris.
To push him over the top. He needs to balance him out for the rest of the day. He needs like some things, man. Some
I can thank Joe for a cup of coffee too.
You need like missing in action 2, to get you, push you over the edge. The yoga, dude, it's hurting you. Here, brother.
They're gonna make your drink now. Got any good drug war questions that you ask me? Think of one.
What's that?
Joe, here for the drug war film. What about that? What about
These are drugs.
what about that friend with that? This is hardcore. A lot worse than marijuana, folks, and I enjoy it. Coffee. I'm a hardcore extremist. But,
What do you want to ask me?
He was saying, ask you about your friend with the SUV. Well, let's go outside. You can't use that. Hold on.
My friend with the SUV.
The guy that got busted for a bird in the
Oh, that's not my friend.
Well, somebody you knew.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk about that guy. See, I don't know the specific details of that, so
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a little
never mind,
weird.
Kevin. That could, I don't know what you were talking about.
It's a little weird.
Yeah. Oh, we can talk about how they're trying to connect all these different crimes now, like drugs to terrorism.
They call it terrorism.
Okay,
Yeah, this
well,
is
here-
the thing with this kid. They were trying
Here,
to
hold on
say.
just 1 second. Go ahead, Kevin. Yeah, over here's better. Yeah, that's a very important question. I'm glad because it kind of led into something. Yeah, right here's fine.
All right, well, stop.
Okay. I'm gonna get out of a shot here. Why don't you zoom?
He's directing you. Let's just go back to the hotel.
Yeah, let's do that.
Chill out there.
That is a damn important question.
Yeah.
Here, Kevin, and then. Okay.
People see a camera and they see a celebrity, and
Yeah, they're starting to.
it's a lot of weirdness happens.
That's a really good question. I mean, to address. Like, I know that Kevin will use that in the film.
Well, sure, that's what the whole Patriot Act is really all about. It's not about stopping terrorism.
The new Victory Act says one marijuana cigarette or any other type of anything that's even controlled, even pills, you're talking 20 to 90 in prison. Okay, it actually
What?
says, yeah, any drug possession. They haven't passed it yet. They're trying to. Any drug possession, 20 to 90. It's an act of terrorism. And manufacturing anything, including growing marijuana, is a, quote, weapon of mass destruction because it, quote, hurts masses of people. You can be executed.
Jesus.
I can show you the
fucking Christ.
subsection. Yeah, I've got like AP articles, everything on it, Joe.
Hey, Kevin, you need to interview this guy in front of you. No, he's an idiot.
Joe Rogan gives an infomercial for marijuana. It's wonderful.
I do give an infomercial.
I know, it's good stuff, dude. Joe Rogan for Starbucks.
Drugs.
This is a high-powered amphetamine, folks. Starbucks.
Coffee. This is the grande size too. I don't go for the venti. I can't handle it. I know my limits. Good man knows his 11, right? 11 for?
Yes, sir. I always drink the tall ones. I can't shit. This coffee's
You got a grande,
mega force.
baby. That's a grande, dude. It's the same as mine. Grande.
All right. I told them a tall.
Alright, fucked you.
Now look at them. They screwed me. Gave me a bigger
Trying to
drink.
get you hooked.
Trying to get me hooked like at a schoolyard.
Give
Telling
you
me
a
this
little extra
poison.
for free. No. That's from me, baby. That's from me. Don't worry.
I got Kevin's. Look, I got two. I need more. Oh, yeah.
I'll hook you up.
All right. Yeah, that terror question, I'm glad we thought of that. Kevin kind of led me into that. Good job, Kevin. Did something right today. Look, face, Kevin.
See, the thing is, I don't know if that dude.
Man, I like to be on it. I mean, I like to be on it, but I mean, I can't be on the whole thing.
Okay.
This is, I don't think we can use that stuff back there because I had music in my ring put on the internet or something. All right. Let's see what shot I got. That's pretty cool.
Is that a big fat close up?
No,
No,
it's
it's kinda like
it looks
a-
great. It actually looks really good. Looks like Muscle Man. All right. Right there. Just- Joe, some of the new.
Hang on 1 second.
It's funny. I'm just asking him a question. It's not like I'm asking a serious question. It's funny.
Alex, being funny is good.
Yeah, man. That's what I do for a living.
I know. I just,
You can't get upset when you make me laugh.
You're the first person who's ever
I'm
gotten
not
mad
upset.
because I laugh at your jokes.
no, that wasn't.
You're so used to working with comedians.
That wasn't a joke.
I know. That's, exactly
That's actually
why-
pretty funny.
That's exactly why it's funny.
You don't want me to close down? You don't need to.
No,
This
it's
looks
good.
great.
It looks good.
Looks great. He gets the back of the ball cap. It's like he's a Muslim. Sitting there. I believe in Allah. All right. Hala, mala, hala, 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 hala. And then,
I tell you what, the guy we had on
I
Fear
start dancing
Factor.
around, oh, Habib, I have brought it to you.
Let me strap it to myself and walk into the cafe. 72 veg the wait.
Now, see, if you went like that to the airport, you'd walk right through, Joe.
Probably. Did I tell you about the guy who won Fear Factor? He was speaking in tongues.
No.
Yeah, he was a real heavy-duty religious dude. You know, and he once he won, he started clapping his hands. Hallelujah! You are gracious, God. You're so beautiful, God. You are so patient with
Oh,
me.
I saw that.
And he starts pointing at the sky.
It's the black guy, right?
Yeah, but they didn't get all this on camera for some reason. The guy was rolling camera, forgot to press record or whatever. But this guy's standing there pointing up at the sky. And he starts talking in tongues. Like, and I'm like, what are you doing? He said he's speaking a holy language.
Joe, you had an experience a lot of us have had at the airport where somebody with a giant turban that could hide 20 pounds of C4.
Well, it wasn't a giant turban, but yeah, it was a turban.
Well, we saw a guy coming here with a giant turban that could.
How giant? Was it huge? Like
Yeah, it looked like a beehive on top
blimp?
of his head. He had the Goodyear blimp on his head.
No, yeah, I was getting my sneakers
Hold
scanned.
on, he didn't.
All right.
Start over, Commander.
This is what happened. I was at the. I do a joke about it in my act because it's so ridiculous. It was like a bad scene in a bad movie. I was at the airport and I was getting my sneakers scanned, and the guy was asking me all these dumb Fear Factor questions, and I was being really polite because I was carrying weed and I was getting a little nervous. Anyway, he's scanning my sneakers for bombs, and he's telling me how much he likes Fear Factor, and there was a dude in line that had a turban on, and I looked at the guy with the turban, and he looked me in the eye. We made eye contact. And then he just walked right through while I was being scanned.
So the guy knows that you're a national TV celebrity with two TV shows, one of them #1 in the country, and
That's not number one, but it
was number one.
He knew who I was.
Well, now we got to start over that. Damn it!
Yeah.
No, seriously, Joe.
Okay,
Joe, because we're just going to put you in here telling the story about terrorism.
Okay.
Joe, what have your experiences been flying? Have you seen a double standard?
Well, I mean, I read about Al Gore getting scanned at the airport, and like the former vice president is going to say, you know what, this whole me being president thing didn't work out. I'm turning to terrorism, So they're trying to let people know that everyone's equal, and even Al Gore has to be scanned. And it's ridiculous. I mean, the randomness is just silly. I got scanned because I bought my tickets a couple weeks in advance, so I got red flagged. So they're running my sneakers for bombs. He's checking my sneakers. And he knows who I am, and he's asking me Fear Factor questions. So I can't believe that. Is that really real? Oh, I'll tell you what, I couldn't eat that stuff. And we always watch it during dinner time. I gotta tell you, it's pretty upsetting. So this guy's asking me all these dumb questions, and I'm trying to play along. And right while this is happening, there's a guy in line with a turban on. And I look over at him, and he looks at me, and we make eye contact, and the guy just walks right through. And he just walks right through.
Did you say anything to the screener at that point?
I just laughed. I just said, I can't even believe this is happening. I said, this is so funny. Here's a guy, he's dressed like a fucking genie. And I'm being scanned. They're scanning my sneakers. I do, joke. I say the tips of his shoes curl up in a circle, and they're scanning me. Check him. I want to know what goofy shit he believes. I mean, he's wearing an outfit. And, religious freedom, the whole idea of religious freedom to me is... all religions are retarded. Every single one of them. They're all anything where a person tells you they know what's going on and they can help you, and they're going to give you the secret knowledge. It's all bullshit. It's all cult. I don't care if it's been around for as long as Scientology or it's been around as long as Islam or Christianity. It's all ridiculous. So when I see someone wearing an outfit, I know that's a zealot. That's a guy who's really deep into whatever crazy bullshit, and I would like them to talk to him.
Well, I know that whenever we flew into Los Angeles, there was a guy getting on the plane to come here who had a turban that you could hide, 10 pounds of C4 in. I mean, a giant brown turban. But they were very busy searching old World War II vets in wheelchairs and old ladies.
And the idea that there's a God and this God has a dress code is fucking retarded.
A lot of those turbans also, though, Joe, developed where it was really cold climates up in the mountains, and it just really keeps your head warm. But I can see now in L.A. walking around with a turban.
It was July. It happened in July,
Well, this happened just a few days ago, and it's pretty hot here, and the guy was walking around with a turban the size of a, Goodyear blimp.
Mini Goodyear blimp? That sounds like an exaggeration, Alex Jones.
Yes, it is. I'm now stealing from you. I'm what's his name? That was the whole point of that. No, but, Joe, drug war. Drug war question. Really important drug war question. You ready, Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay. There's been a lot of new legislation. Patriot Act 1, now there's Patriot Act 2, there's the Victory Act 1 and 2. And Patriot Act 1 says that any crime, including all drug crimes, are considered terrorism, so you lose your Bill of Rights and Constitution. Now under Victory Act 1, as well as Victory Act 2, they're saying that any possession of any controlled substance can get you 20 to 90 years because drugs are an act of terrorism.
So Rush Limbaugh is going to go to jail for 20 to 90 years.
We know it'll be selectively enforced. And then now on top of that, they're saying that manufacturing any type of drug, including growing marijuana, could be punishable by death because it's a weapon of mass destruction. So, yeah, take the Limbaugh...
Because you're affecting many people.
Yeah, so take the Limbaugh thing, take the Victory Act thing. I mean, just tell us what you think about it.
Well, it's all insane. I mean, any legislation, we discussed this already, any legislation controlling your use of any substance that's not going to hurt anybody but yourself is ridiculous. The only thing we should protect people from is people's actions. I mean, if you get fucked up on NyQuil and you want to go drive your car and smash into people, NyQuil is very legal, it's very available.
But, the point I'm trying to get at here, Joe, is that how can they claim that this is only about fighting terror? We wouldn't use it to take your liberties. And then now they're saying that they're going to put somebody who has one joint in prison for 20 to 90 years saying it's terrorism? How is it terrorism?
It's not terrorism. It's insane. I want to know, how does this stuff get passed? Well, you tell me, because you're much more familiar with the process than I am. Who drafts this stuff, and how does it get passed?
John Ashcroft drafts it. The Democrats check off on it. In many cases, even make it worse. The first Patriot Act was rewritten by Hillary and Chucky Schumer, and then Ashcroft signed off on it. And they all want power and control. The Democrats know they'll be in later, so why shouldn't they give Ashcroft complete dictatorial power? And so on October 27, 2001, They passed the Patriot Act that changed the definition of terrorism from bombing and kidnapping and killing to Section 802. Any action that endangers a human life that's a violation of any federal or state law is now an act of terrorism, and now you can be punished under all said subsections. And the said subsections are life in prison, 50 years in prison, 20 years in prison, secret execution, no jury, no trial. It's all right there in Patriot Act 1, and we thought this is insane. Now they've got Patriot Act 2 they're trying to pass, Patriot Act 1, 2. So they're passing it because a bunch of criminals up there, a bunch of just nutcases want total control, and the average American is so in the dark because the media won't tell them what's in here, Joe.
What do you think they have to benefit from passing these drug laws that would make possession of one joint being punishable by so many years in jail? What do you think they have to benefit from that?
If they can't get us on welfare, and if they can't get us into the shrink's office, they want to get us in the criminal justice system. And the biggest business in the United States now, bigger than entertainment, bigger than microchips, is prisons and security. And they're building giant prisons all over the country, and most of them are privately owned, and these privately owned prison corporations are owned by the big defense contractors, who in turn own the dominant media, who are the majority shareholders, and they want to go to an economy of tens of millions of Americans in prison. And so that's it. We're going into Prison Planet America. We're going into the slave labor camps, the whole 9 yards.
So you believe that the people who are drafting this legislation, that their ultimate goal is to imprison a bunch of people?
I know the lobbyists that contribute to their campaigns. I know at the focus groups they go to, where they all get them together and basically tell them what to do in both parties, are telling them, yes, the people that put money in our pockets, the military-industrial complex, they want more prisons, they want more laws, they want stronger penalties, and they come back and sell it to middle America and to people who believe in this corruption. They say, oh, we got to do this to keep the children safe, when in reality it's about getting people in prison to build widgets, and that's it.
So the people who are drafting the legislation, they're doing it because of special interest groups that put them into that position. The people that funded their campaigns are telling them that that's the agenda they would like them to support.
Yeah, and if they don't, they're going to get smeared in the media, and they're not going to get any money. And so they're all a bunch of whores held hostage, and most of them are sociopathic and want more power and don't care and are happy to do it. I've talked to a lot of them who have their arms really twisted and say yes. I've talked to a lot who have their arms twisted and say no. And then they get targeted, no matter what party they're in. Their own party will target them. The Democratic Party, the Republican Party will target them if they stand up for freedom and liberty.
So the whole political system at that point in time is really just a game. It's really just a game. I mean, it's not. They're not trying to represent people. They're not trying to make society better and strengthen the fiber of our society and make the laws better and make them more just and help people and try to make a society that everyone can function in and get ahead and prosper in. That's not what it is. You're saying that it really is all just a game.
It is a big, dirty game, a big, dirty business.
And just like how Noam Chomsky talks about corporations being inherently evil, but the people in corporations aren't evil, you think these people that are a part of this whole gigantic system, this whole bureaucratic system, do you think they realize what they're doing, or do you think that they just feel like they are going to pursue this because this is going to help them achieve their goals, and they don't think of it as being an evil thing?
Well, I think it's a little of all of that. It runs the gamut. You got some who are sociopathic and evil and love this stuff and want to centralize power because they see themselves in that power structure. Then you got others who just are social climbers, and this is just what we do. It's what the lobbyists say. It's what the RNC and DNC tell us to do.
But you don't think a lot of those people are panicking when they see this legislation? Like, Jesus Christ, this is like 1984.
A lot of them are upset. And that's why
shit.
our voices, a lot of them, I've talked to them personally. I've talked to a lot of congressmen and women, and they feel like this is scary and bad. But when there's 100 lobbyists every day outside their door, and the news is saying this is all good, it gives all this craziness kind of a feeling of normalcy. That's why it's so important when their constituents mob them at a meeting, or when people write them letters or do call them. When they get a lot of those calls, it does affect them because it lets them know, hey, this really is normal for me to think this is bad. So it really is a battle against good and evil. That's why it's so important that we're involved in speaking out.
Now think about it. I'm fairly aware about what's going on in the world. I mean, I'm not as tuned into it as you are, especially the whole political arena.
Well, you're more tuned in certain areas, and I'm more tuned in other certain areas.
I'm more tuned into social things. All right, you're far more tuned into legislation that's being passed and civil rights being eroded. You're far more tuned into that stuff than I am. The average person isn't nearly as tuned in as I am. The average person's way, way, way in the dark about all this stuff. Most people don't even know what the fuck the Patriot Act is. We went outside on Sunset and just started grabbing people and talking to them about the Patriot Act. Most people have no idea what it is. They're completely in the dark. What can you do about that?
You're right. 70% of America doesn't know where Iraq is.
They don't know where the Patriot Act is.
They don't know where Iraq is. They don't know where...
They certainly don't know. People who are watching the fucking, CBS Nightly News, they don't know what the Patriot Act is. If they've heard about it, it's like something to protect us from terrorism.
Well, it gets back to people need to start valuing information, valuing being informed. And Joe, that's why it's important that the few intelligent celebrities like yourself that are actually involved and want to talk about this stuff and are concerned. We need to see more of our leaders who aren't just in government but are in other facets of society stepping up and telling folks that this is important because you're leaders. You're a leader. And so it takes leadership. We need more real leadership that won't be bought and paid for by the military-industrial complex that's basically buying up our society.
How about this secret agent exposed in the CIA? Turn to the news right now, man. Look.
There it is.
Secret agent exposed.
Wonder what this is.
20% of all the people that work for the CIA are undercover. 20%.
Yeah, spying on their other
20%. They either have jobs overseas, where they're supposedly doing one thing, but they're
most
actually
of them are in
doing
the
another
media.
thing.
Most of them are in the media.
How crazy is that?
A lot of these guys you see reading off teleprompters on national news, this is admitted, get CIA paychecks on top of it.
Isn't that supposedly the story with Dan Rather? Wasn't it like a big thing on Dan Rather?
A lot of these guys, yeah.
Being a CIA operative, and he has access to news before anybody else. And there was some thing.
Well, there was a PBS
Richard
special
Belzer wrote about in his book.
There was a PBS special about 6 years ago where Dan Rather accidentally went live earlier, and the tape got out of them a day before the Iraq War, showing where the bombers were hitting and how everything was happening and why the president had done this. So they had actually been scripting it and were working totally interfaced with the Pentagon.
Now, something like the Patriot Act, was that drafted before September 11th?
Yes.
Because it's a massive document.
It was hundreds of different bills that they could never pass because they didn't have the pretext of, oh, we've been attacked. And yes, exactly, Joe. Almost all of it. Take the Section 213, sneak and peek provision. You heard how they can break in your house without a warrant, take whatever they want, leave whatever they want, and not even ever tell you that they were there without a warrant? Ashcroft tried to pass that twice in '99 when he was still a senator from Missouri. He tried to pass it under the Anti-Methamphetamine Act and the Fugitive Apprehension Act. Had nothing to do with methamphetamine, nothing to do with fugitive apprehension, but they're good-sounding names. Well, we're for getting fugitives, aren't you? Well, you're for stopping methamphetamine, aren't you? But all it did was allow the feds and then to authorize the states to not even have warrants anymore when they come in your house or sneak around your house or plant things on your computers or put cameras in or put bugs in.
Now, do you think that this is to discourage dissent?
Yes, it's a chilling effect. They're announcing a lot of this to scare everybody so we shut up. But imagine this, Joe. Even with Echelon and the NSA listening to keywords and listening to all the phone calls and faxes and emails, imagine all the keywords and imagine all the data for those analysts, even if they had millions of analysts, which they don't at the NSA, National Security Agency. It'd be like coming home and having 1 million emails to read and 1 million faxes and letters, just the stuff that was gleaned from keywords. And then imagine trying to have an investigation off that or track us. Very astute. Hardly anyone, Joe, comes up with that point. Absolutely. They're announcing all this to scare us as a chilling effect because they know that our consciousness is being raised. A lot of people are getting aware of what's happening, are starting to think outside the box, so they're trying to announce, yeah, we'll arrest you for having one marijuana cigarette. Yeah, we're going to put you in prison for life. Yeah, we're watching everything
They're just keeping you scared. Well, that's what I always thought about this, like this whole idea of the carnivore system that monitors your emails. You know how many fucking emails there are? Who's going to monitor these?
It's about 4 billion a day.
Well, who's the guy who's going to read these emails and find out if you're a terrorist? So if you get red flagged by saying Al-Qaeda or explosion or bombs or C4.
There's millions of articles that say Al-Qaeda every day.
Right. No. Who is red flag? That's what I always thought. This isn't protecting anybody. You're not going to be able to find the terrorists through that stuff. You're just making people scared to say things in email.
That's it. They want to, and what is the internet? It's an emerging alternative media threatening the old established media, and so they want to create a chilling effect there.
I said that a long time ago. I said the media, the internet was a huge mistake because what they've done is allow people to communicate uncensored with other people all around the world. That's never happened before. You've never had the ability for one person to do a pirate radio station, basically, that everyone in the whole fucking world could tune into.
And that's threatening the
Documents.
establishment.
Think about Infowars.com, if I can give you a plug right now. I mean, your website is just done run by you. It's you in Austin, okay? You have this website that millions of people
8 million
all over the
visitors a
world,
month.
all over the world can click on and read all the documents and read all the information. That didn't exist in the 50s. That didn't exist in the 60s. That didn't exist
85.
through Kennedy, through Vietnam, through Kosovo. This is all new shit. You know, when the Contras, the whole thing that was going on with Nicaragua and Oliver North, there was no documents online that you could go to where the average person could read what the government was really up to and who had to benefit from it and have a whole a series of, documented, ladders where all the money was going and, categories or
timeline.
Exactly. I mean, that was never available until now, until the internet. I mean, this is a huge resource that I think that they feel like they have to combat.
Well, that's amazing, Joe. And also, the polls are showing that about 60 to 70% of Americans, depending on which poll you look at, are against having marijuana being illegal. So what do you see? You see them call it terrorism, you see them come out with all this draconian legislation, and suddenly you see all these new TV ads, all these print ads, every newspaper I open, almost every government website or Washington Post website I go to, it's all, find out the truth about marijuana, it's worse than we first thought. Yeah. All this garbage, and so it's a counteroffensive. They know we're waking up. A lot of people are waking up, Joe. I've done over 1,000 radio interviews the last couple years, and almost everybody that calls in, even on conservative, liberal stations, they're waking up. I'm on right-wing stations and people are like, decriminalize drugs. So they're losing control, and they know they're losing control, so that's why they're trying to up the ante and bring this tyranny in right now. The question I have to you is, how do we counter that?
Well, it's got to be education, right? People have to know about it. And the only way, look, about drugs, someone like me definitely helps, all right? Because, look, I'm not a loser. I'm not unambitious. I'm not trying to escape anything. I'm not trying to hide from anything. I smoke marijuana because I think it's good for your mind. I think it expands your consciousness. I think it gives you a different perspective on the world. I really, honestly believe that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And it's completely untoxic. More people die from aspirin every year than die from marijuana. No one's died from marijuana, ever.
Over 400,000 people die from alcohol every year, and they don't have numbers on those that have died from marijuana because they don't exist.
Right. Now, how many 50 to 90,000 die in drunk driving accidents every year? I mean, they have these ads on television. They talk about marijuana, that 1/3 of all people from fatal car accidents, they test positive for marijuana. Yeah. 100% of them are on fucking alcohol. 100%. Those people that test positive for marijuana, if they get in a car accident, either the car's an accident or it's a fucking alcohol-related thing where they're drunk and they smoke some weed too.
About 30% of the population is on
jacked.
But about 30% of the population is smoking marijuana. So.
But you know what? Look, if you get in a car accident, they've done studies that show you that marijuana does not impair driving. Yeah. It does not impair motor skills. I do jujitsu high. I've done jujitsu high where you're fucking strangling dudes high. It doesn't bother me at all. I've hit the bag high. I go to the gym high. It doesn't fuck with you. It just gives you a different experience. It just makes you feel different about it. What fucks people up more is the fact that they feel like, whoa, I'm not in control. I'm on something else. But if you just relax and go with it, there's nothing wrong with it. Marijuana doesn't fuck up anything. It's just a ton of fucking lies. So all these people that are talking about substance abuse causing car accidents, it's fucking alcohol. Alcohol completely impairs your judgment, completely impairs your motor skills, and it's legal. And no one's trying to stop that from being legal. In 1933, when alcohol was made legal again, when Prohibition stopped,
they had to have something new.
Right.
That's
when they went after marijuana.
In fact, I'll shut up. Say it. It's better.
It's true. In 1933, when Prohibition ended, which I believe was in 1933, there was a lot of people that were out of work. Those people were put back to work when marijuana was made illegal. When they closed down, when they were closing down speakeasies and arresting people for making gin and all that crap. Once they stopped doing that, there was a lot of people that were chasing after people who were making illegal alcohol, and now these people had to have a new job. What were they going to do? Well, it was very convenient to make marijuana illegal. A couple of years later, they just went right back to it. The same big business behind making chasing down alcohol was now chasing down marijuana. And in fact, the people who, half of the people that were supporting, this whole problem with prohibition, half of the people that were supporting, chasing down these alcohol gins, closing down these speakeasies, they were drinking alcohol themselves. It's well documented. Alcohol has been around forever. You have alcoholics. Alcohol is an addictive substance. You can't just make alcohol illegal. It's far easier to make marijuana illegal because it's not a physically addictive substance. Alcohol is physically addictive. To just shut it down and say no more alcohol and not offer any treatment programs, first of all, to say it's illegal anyway is ridiculous, just because No one should be able to tell you what you can't do what you can and can't do with your body. But to say that it's going to be illegal and then not offer the government not offering any way out physically, any help, any detox centers, anything, there was none of that. They just said it's illegal. And those are the same people that they put to work to chase after marijuana. But it was a lot easier because marijuana was a slang term for something that Mexicans and blacks smoked, and they tried to say that these Mexicans and blacks were chasing after white women.
I've actually seen those old propaganda films that are
Reefer
done.
Madness is fantastic. Get high and watch that. It's fucking great.
What about cigarette-related deaths compared to all that?
Oh hell yeah! The problem is cigarettes don't hurt anybody.
Are you kidding? Cigarettes are deadly.
Sure, but I'm saying it doesn't hurt anybody. Like if you smoke a cigarette and go drive your car, you're not going to
Besides
kill
accidents,
anybody.
talk about like health risks.
Killing you later.
Well, there's a lot of health risks just involved in sedentary lifestyle. Look, I would rather be a guy who smokes cigarettes and works out every day than a guy who doesn't do anything. A guy who is just a fat fuck who sits around and watches TV all day. There's a lot of health risks just from people's diets.
I'll tell you what, Joe. I think he's going to leave the custody in here.
But
just look at the camera. That's a good question. Talk about a sedentary lifestyle being just as bad as some of these hard drugs. That's really key. We'll put that in there.
It is. What to say about it?
Just say it though, so my voice isn't squeaking in the background.
Well, the idea that what they're trying to do is, help people and make you a more healthy America, a more healthy society is absolutely ridiculous because a sedentary lifestyle is far more dangerous than marijuana smoking. A sedentary lifestyle is far more dangerous than drinking. Just sitting around on your fat ass eating food all day and watching television and not having any exercise and taking toxic processed foods into your body all day long. That's why people are dying. That's why there's more birth defects in America than any industrialized nation. It's because our diets are completely mineral deficient and nutritionally deficient. People constantly eat cheeseburgers and fries and soda, and there's nothing in there for you. There's zero. There's a slice of lettuce that might offer you some nutrition, and there's some carbohydrates and fat that you can kind of get energy on and move away from. But your body's going to pull nutrients out of itself. The reason why people have strokes isn't because they have high blood pressure, because they have a copper and selenium deficiency, because they don't have critical key minerals, so their body pulls those minerals out of their veins. That's why the walls of your veins get thin and you have strokes. It's the same thing as osteoporosis. Osteoporosis comes from people not having calcium in their diet, so your body pulls calcium out of your bones. That's why you shrink when you get older. No one is trying to help you with that. The pharmaceutical companies don't give a fuck about that.
They want you to be sick so they can say the garbage.
Exactly. The pharmaceutical companies, they just want to give you a pill that makes you feel better. They want to give you a pill. Your kids are crying, let me give you a pill. That pill is going to make your serotonin levels increase. You're not going to be depressed anymore. We call it Zoloft. We call it Prozac, whatever the fuck they call it. But that's what they care about. They don't want to help you. They don't want to say, look, here's the real problem. The real problem is you have a certain amount of fight or flight chemicals in your body. You're an ape. You're basically a hairless ape. You're a talking monkey on a planet, and your body is meant to do things physically. It's meant to chase after food. It's meant to hunt and gather, and you have to exercise it. If you don't, those chemicals just store up in your body, and you're going to become depressed. You're going to feel horrible. Your body's going to break down. Your tissue's going to soften. Your muscles going to atrophy. You're not going to be healthy.
Yeah, I'm ready to work out. Goddamn!
What you really need to do is get up and exercise. You need to take vitamins. You need to supplement your diet. You need to supplement your diet with essential fatty acids, with vitamins, colloidal minerals, nutrients. You need to do that, and you need to exercise. You have to keep your body moving. If you keep your body moving, your body will stay younger much longer. I'm 36 years old. The guys that I went to high school with, so many of them look like they're fucking 50. I feel great. I'm always horny. I work out constantly. My body works great. I'm 36 years old. Technically, I'm middle-aged.
I'm ready to go to war, Joe. You got me fired up. Ladies and gentlemen, what a speech. Dynamic.
He's gonna put cheeseburgers and he's going to fucking start eating.
Exactly. You know what? I used to be an exercising fiend. I've been exercising actually a little bit more, Joe. But let me tell you, what he's saying is true. Eating this crap turns you into a weak blob.
What I'm trying to say is these companies have no interest in making you healthy. They have an interest in giving you something that makes you feel better that they can get money from you for. It's a business. They sell you something.
They want to give you a treatment for the symptoms.
Hold on. If they wanted you to be healthy, they would give you advice. They wanted you to be healthy. Pharmaceutical companies would say, listen, man, you don't need Zoloft. What you really need to do is have a life that doesn't suck. The reason why you're so depressed is because you work this fucking terrible job where you sit in a cubicle all day and you stare at a computer and you file paperwork for some big company. You get home, you're tired, your feet hurt, and what are you going to do? You're going to watch television, you're going to talk to your wife, who you've been involved in this fucking crazy monogamous relationship with for 20 years, where you have no desire to have sex with her anymore, and you don't even communicate because most of your life you spend away from each other. You don't have any you don't have any shared interests. So what do? Well, you get depressed. You get bummed out. Your life seems pointless and hopeless. You're 40. You're dying. So what are they going to do? They're going to give you a pill, and you're going to feel better. Well, what they really need to tell you is you need to do something with your life and make it more interesting. You need to be involved in something that you actually like doing. You only have one fucking life. You're going to waste your life working for somebody? You should stop your need for accumulating objects and stop your need for, a big car and a big house, and find out something that you actually love to do and figure out a way to do it for a living. Whether it's stand-up comedy or fucking music or writing a book, whatever it is, that's what's going to make you happy. Be involved in relationships where you're actually friends with each other. This is the thing I've been saying to people. People getting involved in these crazy relationships where they have these predetermined patterns of behavior that they think they have to follow. You have to see someone, and once you see them, you should only have sex with that one person, and you should be monogamous, and you should stay together, and you know what? Sometimes you got to do what the wife wants you to do. No, you don't! You don't have to do what the wife wants you to do. You have to do what you want to do, and you should let her do what she wants to do. And if that doesn't work together, then you shouldn't hang out. Friends are just friends, and a male friend and a female friend together are still just friends. This whole idea of defining it by wife and husband and mother and child, that's all ridiculous. We're just a bunch of human beings. We should just enjoy each other's company. And that's why people are fucking depressed. That's why pharmaceutical companies have a stranglehold on our culture, because they give you something that makes you feel better about a life that sucks.
Powerful info. I'm sorry for jumping in there.
That's okay, man. You got excited.
No, I was listening to that. I was wanting to go. 3 or 4 days I've been swimming and jogging again, and I wanted to go do something here.
That's the only way to have a happy life, man.
It's killing me. It's like 4 days of this crap and like driving in cars.
There's a bunch of components to a happy life. And the bottom line is your body is your vehicle. I mean, there's a lot of vanity involved in exercise.
Well, you want to talk about drugs?
I'll be the first person to tell you. I'll be the first person to tell you that there's a lot of vanity involved in take care of your body. You know what? But if I had to choose between having a nice body and having a bad body, I think having a nice body is better. Is that shallow? No, it's honest. The people who say it's not, the people that say it's shallow and it's not important, they're ridiculous. You're being jealous. It's a cop-out. And you know that your body's wrecked and you haven't exercised your whole life. And you know women aren't going to find you physically and sexually attractive just by looking at you. So you pretend that that's not important. Let me tell you something. It's very important. When girls see your body, and a girl takes my clothes off and she gets into it, and they're turned on by you physically, that's fun. A girl with a hot body is fun. Anybody who denies that is ridiculous. And anybody who thinks that a girl has a hot body has to have a shitty personality is a fucking moron. That's ridiculous. They're not mutually exclusive. A girl with a hot body can be really interesting, just like a chick with a shitty body can be a fucking moron and stupid, and often is. Phone call.
There's a drug tie into this. Can you
that was
talk
probably
about,
a very important room service call.
Can you talk? Hold on just a second.
Endorphins.
I'm being serious
That was
here.
the big deal coming in.
I'm not in this. I'm not in this, Kevin. This needs to be Joe. This is for the film. It's not me dancing around or yelling or any of that.
Well, it's.
No. The important question.
Okay.
Look, that's a good point, though. They're trying to give us these artificial drugs. What you're talking about is when we do good, in creating something, or when we go work out, or we do something exciting that's new, we get endorphins. The brain, the design is saying you've done a good job. We're trying to also replace it with all these synthetic drugs. Can you speak to how you get a natural drug? And if all drugs are bad, how is it then that our brain gives us natural drugs?
Okay. Well, one of the things that people talk about, they talk about chemical imbalances in the brain. And there are chemical imbalances in the brain. I mean, they come from a lot of different things. They could come from, if your parents are crazy, you might be crazy. You might have an actual chemical imbalance. But a lot of what people call chemical imbalance is your brain reacting to a really unhealthy environment, and you get depressed. And, that is, you can track that. I mean, they've found a way to monitor different levels of the brain, serotonin levels. They found a way to monitor different parts of the brain, what parts of the brain is being used, and they know that there is an actual chemical thing that happens when you're depressed. But to combat that by just giving you a pill, that you being depressed is a natural process. What you being depressed is your body telling you, hey fucker, you're living a shitty life that sucks. I'm not getting anything interesting out of this. I'm not getting any stimulation. I'm not getting any love. I'm not getting any friendship. I'm not getting any creative release. Answer that phone, dude.
Answer it.
Hello? Who's this? Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Gary Busey?
Wait, maybe my manager. Might be my manager, Gary.
Oh, it's Gary Stamler.
All right, I was gonna hang up.
Joe
on
Rogan
his
just
ass.
jumped over here to yell at Gary Busey.
I was just gonna hang up on him. Fucking dummy.
Here, Kevin.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
Gary, how you doing, Commander?
Go ahead.
Tell him that we just ate dinner.
All right.
Alex, just tell him we just ate dinner or we're filming.
Pharmaceutical companies pitch a lot of things, pitch a lot of drugs, sell a lot of drugs based on the idea of chemical imbalances. Now, a lot of people do have an actual chemical imbalance in their brain. There's a lot of people that are crazy, there's no doubt. There's a lot of people whose brains don't function very well, and there is a pill, there's some drugs, there's some tests they can do to find out if this is true, and they can actually help people. That's real. But a lot of people take drugs, take pills that pharmaceutical companies prescribe because their life sucks. And when your life sucks, you will have a chemical imbalance in your brain, and that's a natural thing. When you're depressed, if you have a terrible job, you sit in a fucking cubicle all day, and you come home, and you're in a loveless marriage, and you have no hobbies, no interests, no passion, and no creative output, your life is going to suck, and you're not going to feel good. That doesn't mean you need a pill. That doesn't mean someone should give you a pill, and you take that pill, and all of a sudden, you're happy, and you can deal with this sucky life, and you can walk through it with a smile. You know what? If you want to be a drone and you're happy being a drone and you would like someone to just give you a pill so that you can accept that, that is available to you. But that's not helping anyone. What you really need to do is get the fuck out of this life that you're living. We're taught to believe that that we're supposed to follow this predetermined pattern of behavior where you live this you work 50 weeks a year for 2 weeks off. You slave. You give away 8 hours of your day. We say, well, hey, you got those other 16 hours to yourself, but you don't. You know, if you work 8 hours a day, man, you're fucking tired, okay? In between travel, to and from work, all that, you cut a couple hours out of there. You got eating, you cut a couple hours out of there. How many hours do you have left? What do you got, like 10, 12 hours left in your day? And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to sleep. You got to sleep for at least 8 or you don't feel good. What kind of life is that? It's no life. If you don't do something that you enjoy doing for a living, you're going to be depressed. That's a fact. And being depressed is not because you have a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's because your brain is responding to a really bad, boring life with no stimulation. That's what pharmaceutical companies don't want you to hear. They want you to think that there's something that they could fix in you and just give you a little pill. But really, the symptoms are just a part of your life being a fucking massive piece of shit. That would have gone a lot better if Alex didn't interrupt me.
You were running good.
5 or 6 fucking times.
All right.
Please support us at InfoWarsStore.com. The new Bulletproof t-shirt's out. We need the support. It's an amazing shirt. Support InfoWars. We support Trump. Get the new Bulletproof President Trump shirt at InfoWarsStore.com. We'll be back. Please pray for InfoWars. Please pray for the crew. And I'm so thankful to the crew. They're doing such a great job. I'm so thankful to Owen and to Chase and to all the rest of the crew and Rob Duver here with me right now. We were one family together. Black, white, old, young, you name it, in the fight for liberty against the New World Order. Thank you so much for your past support. I humbly ask for your support now. If you go to InfoWarsStore.com, where the big Save InfoWars sale is going with X2 and X3 and DNA Force Plus, Nitric Boost, and all these other incredible game-changing products. Also, the great line, 12 products under InfoWars MD, private labeled from a top manufacturer in the country. They said, hey, we'll let you have our whole line, and then we'll ship it for you. We'll do it all. It's all drop ship. All our products are selling out. We're out of money completely. But because of InfoWars MD, they have basically unlimited for us, so that now when you buy InfoWars MD, you're getting great, excellent, amazing products that are across the board for your supplement needs, and they then keep us on the air. InfoWars MD.
¡Viene una tormenta!
What did he just say?
He said there's a storm coming in.
I know.
We told you what was going to happen, and it did. Now we're telling you what's coming. At Real Alex Jones on X.